Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're enjoying the day and you have some neurons left to listen to us. Not much left before the cocktails. So I'm Varda Tirosh, Chief Customer Officer here at Optimove. Good to see you all here. And we're here today to talk about marketing across customer lifecycle. That's the panel for today. Couple of words about the topic before I'll introduce our panelists. So, look, we all know that this topic is not a new concept, and it has been around for over a decade or so. But that's exactly what makes it the perfect time to take stock, see where we stand, and understand what's coming. Now, lifecycle marketing, has established itself as foundational strategy for customer engagement, evolving from simple email communications to include, segmentation, modeling, new engagement channels, advanced data capabilities, and hyper-personalization. So today, with no further ado, we're going to explore how this concept has evolved over the years and look into the future and where it's heading. So to start, let's have our panelists introduce themselves. Dimitris, you go first.
Hi all. My name is Dimitris Bekos, coming from Greece, Novibet. I'm a CRM director. Novibet is a tech company that operates in the iGaming industry, specialized on casino, sportsbook, and poker. We're using Optimove the last 6 years, and we're here to analyze the life cycle part.
Hello everyone, I'm Julia Diamampo. I work at Space NK. We're a luxury beauty retailer with 70 stores, approximately 70, maybe nearly 80 now, in the UK, and we also operate internationally via our global e-commerce business. We have been with Optimove kind of operationally for probably about a year now, so relatively new to the platform. But looking forward to talking about it today.
And hello, I'm Alex. I'm coming from Croatia. I'm with Infobip for almost a decade now. Infobip is a communication platform as a service, and I like to say that I almost remember the first SMS that we sent.
Thank you, guys. So let's start to talk about, the topic of today. And I want to ask you all, where do you think the CRM marketing industry is at regarding this evolution that we're talking about? Go ahead.
So we started a lot of years before doing mail marketing. So now we're at a point that we have a great evolution. After some years, we add some communication channels, then we add the customer journeys, but now the evolution is here. We have to use real-time campaigning, we have to use personalization, and now we started to use AI. I think if any operator is not going to use some of these tools, he's going to not be competitive.
But let me ask you, when you look at your competition, you see what they're doing. What do you think about where they're at in terms of lifecycle marketing?
Almost every week, we can see new things that we cannot even think of them. So yes, competitor analysis is a way to identify new things that you cannot think of. So the technology is growing every month, every year, so we have to be updated in order to be competitive.
So you see the evolution through your competition. What about you, Julie? What do you think about the retail? Where does the retail industry stand in terms of those lifecycle marketing strategies?
Well, I think probably a key thing to point out is how the perception of CRM and lifecycle marketing has changed over the years. And I think especially in recent years, it's been enjoying a lot more limelight, especially in the eyes of like C-suites of organizations. I think if you think about it, traditionally and before, there used to be much more focus on acquisition, and acquisition was the key metric that businesses went after. It was all about what size is your database, how many new customers have you got, and I think the tide is like turning slightly, and there is more of a focus now on what happens afterwards. Because if you think about the traditional marketing funnel, sure, we're all familiar with it in the room. It goes from awareness into familiarity, consideration, and culminates in purchase. And that is where the journey ended before. No one really thought about that because that was the win. The win is the acquisition. They've made the purchase. I think now there's definitely has been much of a shift towards this post-purchase experience and focusing on the onward loyalty and journey of the customer to take them on that path to loyalty. And I think it's when you get the the support from the top of an organization, that's when you can really make things happen, because you get a seat at the table in terms of strategic priorities, and you also get investment as well. I think to get that seat at the table actually is the key unlock for all of the CRM initiatives and all of the advancements, because suddenly you do have the budget, and there is an understanding now that CRM is very much the engine of growth for the business. And I think that's how it is now being viewed. So I think it's definitely a good era for all of the advancements that we have, including AI that you referenced.
And when you look at like beauty brands in the UK or in the world, do you think they have gone through evolution in customer lifecycle marketing, or that they're kind of stuck in their old ways?
I don't think it's being stuck in the old ways. I think there's definitely a need to for beauty, it's because it's so tangible. People want to touch it, feel it. So I think the in-store experience is so important. And I think this is where, I really enjoy my job at Space NK, because I have, the privilege of being able to work across both a store environment and an online environment, and being able to connect the dots on the customer and having a true 360 view of the customer. And I think that's what's quite exciting. And I think the challenge for beauty companies is, how do you connect the dots? And, from talking to other people in the industry, they don't necessarily have a loyalty program like we do at Space NK. So that gives us that ability to kind of look across the in-store customers, the online customers, joining the two and understanding what that behavior is across the channels. But not everybody has that. So I think people are at different stages in the journey, depending on it is a big journey, and I think some companies are just further ahead. But I think, thankfully, at Space NK, we do seem to be a little bit ahead compared to some of our competitors.
Good. Alex, from your perspective, as someone who is more on the vendor tech side, do you see companies in the space going through an evolution? Do you see them progress? What can you share with us?
That's a really good question. I mean, I've been working with lifecycle marketing managers, CRM managers for almost a decade now, and I would say that they are currently at a phase of getting this huge pressure for innovation and AI in general. And in these terms, for us at Infobip, these roles have always been really important, because what we've seen is that they always have been challenging the status quo in a way. They've been looking for new ways how to increase interactions, how to boost customer engagement in general. And we live in the attention industry, right? So you need to find ways how to increase the screen time with your customers. And sometimes that can be really challenging, because you have customers with different behavior. You have customers from different destinations. So how do you do that, and who is leading those kind of initiatives? And that's why, from our perspective, these roles are really utterly important. And there is a certain change happening. But I would say that it's always happening, especially since the pandemic. And at Infobip, we really believe that these roles will be always at the forefront of innovation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we talked about the fact that there is evolution. Now I'd like to hear from each of you about your evolution. How did your company gone through, building lifecycle marketing, different journeys from, several years ago until today? What drove this evolution, and what are the phases that you went through?
We started some years before with email marketing, then we had SMS, then we had the notifications, then the inbox messages. Now we're at a point that we're using the life cycle strategy within the new tools. We're using life cycle strategy with real-time campaigns. So we have more than 100 campaigns per month that are real-time trigger. The response rate on these campaigns is 2 times higher versus the scheduled one or the core one. So we're doing a lot of real-time trigger campaigns, and we're also using personalization. Mm-hmm. The 50% of our target groups are less than 1% of our database. Mm-hmm. Also, the response rate is there greater, and if we want the life cycle strategy to have a result, we have to use the evolution of CRM. So that's why we have a combination there in order to maximize the result. So the last year with Optimove, we have doing omni-channel. Optimove is a tool that has a lot of communication channels. So all this together is our main strategy in order to maximize the result from our customers.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So most of the evolution was around adding more and more communication channels, as well as personalized interaction and includes real-time communication. Good, interesting. Julia?
So I think at Space NK, lifecycle marketing is all about getting to know the customer over a long period of time, and it's about establishing that relationship. And I often think of CRM as being just a way of emulating what I call like intelligent empathy of the people who work in store, who you speak to. So we, for those who don't know what Space NK is, so we're a retailer of kind of skincare, makeup, products, bath and body, etc. But we have lots of different brands under the one roof. It's not a department store model where you've got concessions. It's actually, the store advisors actually can recommend anything from across the board. So you genuinely get a very, very tailored and personalized experience in terms of the recommendations that come across to you. And I think the challenge of CRM is how do we create and emulate that experience in store? Because it's really quite special. And that is why people love to shop with us, because we do deliver that level of personalization in store. It's how do we do that in the online environment, and how do we do it at scale? So the loyalty program's very much been our secret weapon there, because it enables us to capture all of the customers. And we have a real focus at grassroots level on quality data capture. So all of our store teams are very, very much on this journey with us, and they understand the value of capturing customers' data. Because if in stores, if we don't do that, we have zero visibility of behavior at all. So it's really, really important that we take them on the journey with us. So in-store, online, both channels, we have a very, very big focus on loyalty program, sign up. And then once they've signed up to us, we've got their data, we're able to talk to them, and then we do take them on this journey. We've got, 2 tiers to our program that we move people through. I think with every transaction that they make, we're able to gather more data, so we know what products they've bought, what brands they've bought into, what categories they buy into, when should we cross them over into another category. So it's like very, very specific journeys that we can take customers on at the right moment for the behavior that's been exhibited. So we do try and keep everything very, very tailor-made, because I guess because we're a bit more of like a luxury, high-touch experience retailer as well, it's really important that we can retain that sense of luxury. So it's not about bombarding people with messages, because that doesn't feel very luxury. It's about how do we get the right message to that person at the right time, and make it feel, touch them emotionally and make them want to shop with us.
Yep. So you're talking about the loyalty program as the driver for the lifecycle marketing, or the one thing that spices up the lifecycle marketing. That's very cool, especially important for like omni-channel combination of stores and online. Good point. Alex, anything you want to share from working with the lifecycle marketers about their evolution?
Yeah, I can give you a different perspective. So during the last 10 years, in the last couple of years after the pandemic and during the pandemic, we saw this huge rise of new chat apps. Mm-hmm. And this has influenced heavily how the lifecycle marketing managers work, CRM managers work. And this has induced so many changes on larger organizations. So they had to adapt to this, because you also have the rise of new generations that are getting some kind of monetary power, and they are also your focus group. So just how to expand into those groups. And what we've noticed is that many of these initiatives to try different channels, to try different approaches, have been actually successfully led by lifecycle marketing managers. Mm-hmm. And at the end, these, let's call them buyer personas in our case, are technology agnostics. So they are prone to trying new things. And at the end, what we've seen is that, this is the feedback that we are getting from our customers, that some kind of incremental revenue has been also created on top of that. So an additional value has been added.
Mm-hmm. Good. One thing you mentioned, which is an interesting point, very relevant to this discussion, is the lifecycle stage manager role. Not every company has it, but it's a relatively new role from the last couple of years, where companies understood the value of, doubling down on lifecycle marketing and tailored a specific role that will be their focus. In some companies we work with, they even have like new customer manager, churn customer manager, so that like the lifecycle team is split by life cycles, which is very powerful in terms of the focus on specific segments. So that's a good point that we've been also seeing in the past couple of years, and it's also very much related to Pini's session from this morning about like the shift of the CRM marketer's role. Good. The next question is going a little bit deeper and asking if, are there any interesting methods that you have been implementing in lifecycle marketing that works for your marketing? For example, different data points, interesting, relevant data points, new segments, unique journeys that you've created, and how those behave in the overall strategy of lifecycle marketing.
Yes, we have implemented two new life cycles, two segments. The one is the high value / VIP. You know, the 5% of our top customers is producing the 70% of our revenue.
Wow.
So it's very important for us to have a different customer journey, a different life cycle only for these users. This is split to potential and the core one. So in the potential, we have users that are not near to the thresholds of a VIP customer, but is very close to the average. So maybe the total revenue is not still good, but the first signs are good. So we're trying to treat him like a VIP. The result is very good. We have 12% increase on the users that are going to the VIP segment then, in the end. And then we have the VIP segment. A VIP is always a VIP. Maybe it's a dormant VIP, but it's still VIP. So we have to spend a big part of our budget to make to use a channel that has more cost than other. For example, outbound call. So we have a VIP as a different segment in order to treat them always as a VIP and not changing on the migration part. And then in our industry, we have the cross-sell. We have a segment only for cross-sell. We are doing cross-sell inside the product and across the product. So we have the cross-sell that, for example, if someone is playing soccer, is betting on soccer, it's easier to make him bet on tennis than make him play on casino. So we are using some methods in order to make the users cross-sell inside the product, and then we're trying also to make them from product to product. We don't want to spam them and in the end lose them by unsubscribing. But if we choose the right date, the right time, based on the seasonality, on the preference of the users, the results are great. And with these two extra segments, I think we can cover all the database and everyone will be happy.
So have you created like a special journeys for those cross-sell campaigns?
Yes.
Rather than one touch point or a few?
No, it's different, totally different customer journeys. Maybe when we have some big news that are for all customers, they will be informed too. But all the promos, all the news, all the features will be different for a VIP segment than the other.
For sure. Julia, yeah.
So we focus on a kind of pyramid, CRM pyramid, where at the bottom it's all of your customers who've shopped with you just the once, and at the top it's your VIP, similar to your approach. There is a lot of focus on the bottom of the pyramid because that's where the volume is, and we've enjoyed some big years of acquisition. And I think, I guess the pressure is then on the retention team to make sure that you can make the most of that acquisition, and you haven't got this scenario of like a leaking bucket where you're like getting people in and then they're lapsing straight out. So it's very much focusing on how can you get those customers to go on to the second purchase. So that is a key and kind of quite critical point in the life cycle for us, and a lot of energy and team resources invested in that. So we do have people focused on that kind of bottom layer of the pyramid, but then we do also have programs in place that are designed to move people up the value pyramid as well, and up to our kind of top tier of the loyalty program, the deluxe tier for customers who spend over £1,000 in a year on our beauty products. So we've got various campaigns in place, trigger campaigns to help accelerate customers up to that top tier. And then obviously once they get there, we need to keep them there as well. So we do have different kind of lifecycle managers in place to look after those key points in the pyramid, to look after that growth, because it's down to our team to make sure that we do nurture the growth of the new customer, because we very much recognize that a new customer is worth something very different to a loyal existing customer who's been with us for 10 years. So it's all about cultivating that journey and growing that value over time.
And I think, again, using the loyalty data as data points and reasons to engage your customers in those journeys, probably, something that makes it a bit more engaging and unique. Okay, let's talk about how to measure the success of those lifecycle journeys. So how do you measure the success of the lifecycle journeys? And have you seen a direct business benefit from those lifecycle marketings when measuring them, comparing to other campaigns that you're running, other programs that you have?
For measuring, we're using the A/B testing, that is a basic one. Then we have the streams. The last years, the streams help us a lot in order to understand the real effect of a campaign. Because maybe a campaign has great results, but when it's a part of a sequel, maybe the result is not so good in total. So with streams, we can see the sequel of the campaigns, and in the end, we cover a lot of our cost part. Because maybe we give a lot of bonuses and a lot of money to the users that taking from first point, from first campaigns, but if we just make them take the same cost after 10 days, for example, after 3 campaigns, we will have the same result in the end. So we're using a lot of streams in order to calculate the journeys and the campaigning in a sequel. Then we have our own metrics. In our industry, for sure, we have to calculate the acquisition part. If a user is coming from social media, has a lower value than coming from Google, for example, or from an affiliate. So we calculate all the cost and the measures of a campaign success through the channel that is coming and through the devices that he's playing. And in the end, we have to export all of this data from Optimove, to combine them with our own data and to check the return of investment.
Interesting. Good. Julia?
So for us, we start from very strategic business KPIs rather than anything too campaign specific. Because for me, everything in a campaign needs to kind of ladder back up to the strategic business objective. So for us, a big one that I mentioned earlier was about driving the second purchase. So we actually set ourselves as a business a target of a second purchase rate. So we look at all of the new customers that come in, and we want to achieve a certain percentage to go through to second purchase within a period of 12 months. And that's something that we set, that we are targeted on as a business. And basically everything that we do in CRM needs to work towards that. So I always think in terms of programs as opposed to campaigns. So you can look at individual campaign metrics, obviously, like open rates, etc. But ultimately, all of that needs to kind of feed into the overall strategic business KPI. So if that's not moving, then the campaigns aren't making a difference. So everything all together needs to culminate in something that will ultimately shift the needle for the business. So I try not to look at kind of too specific. We do every month look at kind of individual campaigns, but for me, it is ultimately about how do we achieve the business goal that's been set.
And what's the most important KPI that you look at when you're measuring those? Sales?
Yeah, I mean, there's second purchase rate because we know that customers who go on to make a second purchase are kind of twice as likely to shop again the next year. So the lapse rate is fundamentally reduced. So second purchase rate is key, and then we also look at lapse rate as well. So of all the customers who shop with us at any point, what percentage of them will be shopping with us again a year later? So we keep a very close eye on those, and we are, we're KPI'd on all of that. So it just means that we are always focusing on our campaigns and how they can help deliver those KPIs ultimately.
Okay. So let's talk about future state. So we all understand that there was a process of evolving lifecycle marketing with technology, new channels, new capabilities, data feeds, etc. Have you any thoughts on like ideal state around lifecycle marketing? Where else do you think this can evolve into? What would be like a scenario that will be ideal from your perspective around lifecycle marketing?
I think the future is to create an ecosystem with everything to be included, everything to be automated, everything to be personalized, in order every user to receive what he really wants. So if the combination and technology allow us, I think in 2 or 3 years from now, including AI, we will be able to create a unique customer journey for each user. Maybe it's not created by us, by technology for sure, but we have to check it step by step in order to avoid being spammers and in the end losing the users. But I think this is a solution, to create an ecosystem that all of these strategies will be combined in order to maximize the result of our campaigns.
Julia?
I mean, I think you've said everything there. I think, it's all about, real, as real time as possible. I think this is what I think this is the reason why, we invest so much in making sure that our data foundations are in a very strong place, because I guess we all recognise that unless that is the case, we can't do any of this kind of sophisticated stuff that we all want to do. So I think in terms of real-time communications, or as close to real-time as possible, heavily personalised to the customer. Again, just so that it doesn't feel like you're being marketed to. It needs to feel genuinely that this is they understand you, they understand your behaviour, and they genuinely know what the next best action is. We talk about it, and I know it's something that can be fed into some kind of data science model, but I think it's like, I don't know, taking the robot out of it and actually making it feel very personal again. I think that'll be the challenge, actually, because the thing I worry about, I think, sometimes in the data science perspective is how do you stop things from all being the same? How does, is everyone going to get the same recommendations? Because everybody's suddenly so homogenous when they're not. They're actually individuals. So it's just how do you feed the models in a way to retain that sense of individuality of the person, but also of the brand itself. So as the retailer, how can we be different to somebody else? And I think, when we're talking about bringing in assets and a content library, how do you keep that sense of, brand, quality, luxury? They're the things that are preying on my mind for our particular business.
Yeah, as a consumer, I can think about it that, let's say that in 2 years, AI will be able to create personalized journeys and generate the content and everything, but people will feel that it's done by machine. And as you said, it's going to be similar to all brands are going to do the same. How do you keep it genuine, personalized in a way that feels like personal and not like done by machine? That would be the challenge, I think, of tomorrow when it comes to managing, lifecycle marketing and marketing in general. Alex, from technology perspective, what do you envision?
During the last 10 years, if I had a nickel for every prediction that we had wrong, well, I would have €1 or 2 at least. So let's try to get this right. This one right. We see the future to be definitely conversational, hyper-personalized, and you can be really personalized over a channel that the customer doesn't prefer. And that doesn't mean that you're going to succeed in converting that lead into a customer or to nurture them or to have a loyal customer. So there definitely has to be the right combination of the personalized message, personalized content that's going to bring the screen time and also the channel that the customer is preferring at that time. And that's why I would say that the Optimove engine is also really important here, because you have all of these information, and also at the other end, you need a reliable partner, right, to enable the channel. So let's hope that this prediction is at least at some extent correct.
Yeah, definitely. When thinking about the channel, so like an ideal situation where customer would get the message in the right channel that is relevant right this moment, and it can change between different days, different hours of the day. That's the future. Okay, Julia and Dimitris, you guys, Optimove has been a partner to your marketing. What are some tips you can offer to the audience in terms of optimizing Optimove when considering managing lifecycle marketing?
I'm going to start? Okay. So some tips is to always check the migration part. We're checking the migration part always. And our strategy is based on that. Sometimes it's...
Wait, so just to explain what kind of migrations?
Migration is becoming from non-debt to new.
Life cycle migrations, segments migrations, yeah.
Exactly. So we see the value on the migration plan and what is working for us to make the user become an active sports player, becoming an active casino, becoming reactivated. So our strategy is based on that, but we have also to check the seasonality part. We have to check another metrics about the cost. So we have to take some measures and then build the strategy on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, using migrations as a KPI, that's a good one. Yeah.
Something I would recommend to get the most out of Optimove actually is to leverage the customer success team. I'm looking at Claire over there. We had a really good meeting last week with Claire and Sigal. And I think because we're so new to the platform, they have really been an invaluable resource to us to help us understand how to get the most out of the platform. So as an example, I've talked about this objective of ours to move more people from first purchase to second purchase. So through the Customer Explorer, Claire and Sigal were able to show us that they were able to dive into the data and the behavior of our customers, and they were able to reveal that of all the customers that do go on to make a second purchase with us, 75% of them actually go and repurchase from exactly the same brand. So, for example, like Chantecaille is one of our makeup brands. If someone comes in buying Chantecaille in their first purchase, they're more than likely to go and buy Chantecaille on the second purchase. So we kind of knew it from a category perspective, that if someone comes in on makeup, they'll come back to buy makeup, but we hadn't necessarily realized that it was as granular as going back to buy the same brand. So we're actually now going to go away and change up our campaign and test our current approach versus, sending them back into a brand. And I think another example of something that came up just last week in the findings was customers who sit in our kind of churn cycle. They're about to churn, they're about to lapse. They were able to identify in the Customer Explorer again that there were a few of these customers who had come to visit the site. So the optimum thing to do would be to serve these customers a message, a website pop-up or something, just to recognize that we know that they've been there, we've not seen them in a while, and maybe this would be a really good way to deliver some kind of targeted offer to them. So we've had a good play around with Optimove, and we've launched a lot of things, but I think this has just helped to just layer on more capability. So it's been really, really helpful.
Good. Yeah, so both of you mentioned data exploration and reporting in Optimove as something that really helpful in building the foundations of your marketing strategies. Interesting. That's a good recommendation to our crowd. So we're done. Thank you very much for your participation and for your advice to the audience. We hope you enjoyed it and took a tip or two from this. So enjoy the rest.
Thank you.